All right, so I bet some of you thought this episode wouldn't happen, but here we are. We are back with this Buffalo Sabres series. Now, before we get into it, let's address the elephant in the room here, and I've talked about it a little bit recently, that video talking about the changes to the rosters. And I know this feels like a very old school video, no webcam, not doing this live on Twitch, but the idea of what exactly is old Tougie 24 doing with franchise mode at this stage, and you're free to ask that question. We're going to decline that trade, I suppose. We're also going to decline that one and that one. All right, can we stop the sim, please? Thank you. I didn't mean to sim all the way to the beginning there, but hey, what are you going to do? Basically, the idea of what's the future of this series and what am I doing with franchise mode on this channel is kind of what I'm talking about here, because it has been a long time at this point, 3 weeks, a month almost, since I recorded the initial episodes that you saw of this series on Twitch. And, right after that moment, MLB The Show came out, and obviously I've been playing a lot of that, and we've started uploading that series here as well. And I just didn't go back to this. Not that I don't find this series fun or interesting. I think that idea of 50-50 spinning the wheel to see just what happens with this team, not that that isn't interesting, but we started this too directly in the aftermath of the post-trade deadline day roster update being released. And obviously now a decent amount of time has passed, and there have been other updates out since, including the one that I just kind of mini-reviewed that talks a decent amount of, that added in a decent amount of players and stuff like that. But of course, that video, I'd say the main thing about it was I sat there and talked for a while about just my thoughts on the roster. And obviously, I guess what I'm trying to say here is I'm going to treat this video like a test run, essentially. Kind of use the comment section to see what you guys are thinking about this and whether or not just too much time has passed and we should move on to something new, even though this was fun for what it was, or if we should keep going, or, again, we could start over new with the A's roster update. It really has been that type of deal where losing my custom rosters completely derailed everything I was going to do this year for franchise mode stuff. It just absolutely ruined it. And it's been, a while now of like, okay, well, what am I doing next? How am I going to manage this? That type of thing. And yeah, I still don't really have the answer. Like, I still got ideas for what I can do, but that idea and that formula that we've had over the past couple of years with it being have this type of series and have, a Nations United, a Draft of Glory, whatever, the idea of doing that type of series, it's just not there right now. So it just kind of sucks, right? Like, I don't really know exactly what I want to do. So it is just a matter of trying to figure things out. And I think eventually we'll get to the point where I'm like, all right, cool, this is what we're doing. But for right now, still, I'm just like, man, I do not know for sure. So, like I said, we'll see how this goes. Fortunately, this team doesn't work all that well right now, but hey, we'll leave that as it is. Of course, I still kind of want to see what happens. Obviously, Eichel, Barzal, adding Dubois, and of course, the Kotkaniemi trade, which was controversial, as I've discovered in the comment section of the last few videos. But yeah, I guess that's really all I can kind of mention is, on Twitch, I have the old saying of no set plan. Also, a lot of people are pissed off I had this many playmakers, but it's not the end of the world. We don't need crazy chemistry. But, the idea of no set plan. I don't really know what I'm going to do until it's just the time comes and it feels like the right thing to do. We're kind of in that similar spot here where it's just like, man, we'll just play it by ear. We'll go for it and we'll see what happens. Look at that top line. Good Lord. Good Lord, that top line. I mean, this team is pretty sick. We definitely have to see what this team can do. No doubt about that. But yeah, all things considered, this might be the last episode of this. We'll see how it plays out. And again, intrigued to see what you guys think about, like, hey, well, you could do this, we want to see this, we want to see that. Let me know. I have no problem maybe, kind of adjusting what I was planning on doing based off of kind of what you guys think right now, what you're feeling, where you'd like to see things go. And obviously, too, for those who've been watching the videos, I've talked about it on stream a lot, too. Like, hey, a lot of things are changing in my life. Got a house with the girlfriend, so that's been fun, renovating, essentially. And should be by the beginning of June that we get to move into that house. So, after that, it's like, okay, what's my schedule going to be over the summer? And I've had that idea, too, for this channel, and I think you've seen it with some of the videos, like the redrafts and stuff like that. I'm not completely, against the idea of, does franchise mode have to be the thing on my channel? I really wouldn't mind, and I've talked about it being, I guess, that type of YouTuber who's just like, hey, I'm going to talk about hockey. It's like if I want to make a video talking about the 2011 Cup final with the anniversary coming up, I'm going to do it. If I want to sit here and talk about Glenn Murray as a player, I'm going to do it. Like, you might be seeing more of that on the channel here in the future because, I think for the most part, you got to evolve and you got to do what you want to do. And it's not that I don't want to do this anymore, but for NHL 21, yeah, I feel kind of stuck, right? I do. How could I not? You base your entire plans on a custom roster that I just flat out have not had time to dedicate to get it back to where I want it to be. Because, of course, as you can see in that roster rundown video, I do think for the most part, I vehemently disagree with a lot of ratings, a lot of overalls, a lot of potentials, a lot of player types, stuff like that. So, yeah, we're just in that super interesting spot. I might actually take that for Alex Iafallo. Let me check this really quickly. Big Save Dave has not even been our backup this year, right? Yeah, he's in the AHL. We'll take that. Thank you very much. That's a good deal to get Alex Iafallo in here. But yeah, all I can say really is we'll see what happens through the rest of the year. It's not as if I'm sitting here saying like, oh well, I'm done permanently. Like, no, I'm not going anywhere in that regard. No way. And I think NHL franchise mode will always kind of be a part of this channel. I certainly have no plans in stopping or like walking away from the community or being like, oh, I'm done with EA and that affiliation. Like, no, I'm still, this is still my home base, I think. But again, you might see some other stuff pop up. You just might as we move forward here. Again, we'll see how it all plays out. Iafallo is a better fit for the top six, or the middle six, I guess. Who fits in well on that fourth line? Not Nick Patan. So we keep the +1 there. So if I take out Kyle Okposo, because that just seems like the right thing to do, we put in Alex Iafallo. I don't appear to be able to keep the plus that I wanted to keep for that fourth line. But if we make that switch there, the team still looks pretty good, so I guess we'll do that and drop Rhett Gardner. Of course, we've barely looked. We actually haven't looked at how well this team is doing aside from how we're doing in the standings. So, hey, we'll see how it plays out. With 33-14-3, we're the top team in our division right now, so we'll just keep on going. We will go into deadline day and see how that plays out. We get enough for another second-round pick. This for Jason Dickinson. The other one was nice because, of course, it was, a second in Riddick for Iafallo and a third, so that wasn't that bad. I didn't even care how well Iafallo was doing. I just knew he could boost up. Dickinson doesn't make this team that much better, so we'll hold off on that. So I think, oh man, that trade is just 3/3. Jesus, how good's Barbashev? Nope. He has a decent point total this year for a 79 overall, but still. Staylock and 2/3 for a second and a sixth. Yes, we'll take that. Thank you, Boston. Again, we'll see how this all plays out, is pretty much all I can say at this stage for this particular series, for what happens the rest of the way. And again, freaking pray that they actually add in roster sharing for next year's game, because if this type of incident were to happen, Shout out to Jesus Pope getting fired. If this type of incident were to happen with me losing my roster file, of course I would have just been able to re-download it, and I would have been fine. So we'll see how it plays out. Like I said, it's been a very unfortunate year with NHL 21. And I wouldn't say that I'm necessarily burned out on the game, but obviously when you have those type of plans disrupted, it just kind of sucks. But taking a look here at the deadline, I trust in our goaltending. Defensively, I don't think there's any denying we could still go out and get another defender. Forward-wise, I mean, that top six is set. I guess you could argue for a bit better depth in general. Of course, I'm only allowed to use ye old Trade Finder or have them offer me deals. I remember that part of it at least. Brant Clark and Shane Wright are both already available. Interesting. Wouldn't go for either of them, I'm sure. They're going to be way too expensive. And yeah, there's no deal to be made there. Xavier Bourgault. Obviously, last year at this time we were looking for prospects, and it just kind of turned into a madness. Sandin doesn't make sense to pick up because he's not playable this year. And there is a trade. It is Columbus. Ryan Strome. Not bad. So, yeah, I don't know. This type of video, it's funny because a lot of people are like, man, I missed that type of video from you. I often do feel like I get a little bit too ranty, rambly, maybe. Pittsburgh's a team we can talk to for sure. Just a lot of different things that I want to do right now, and I can't lie. I am very much enjoying playing MLB. I'm enjoying playing other stuff. I always play other stuff anyway, but it's just, being able to shake that feeling of like, man, what could have been for NHL this year compared to not what I've had to settle for, but close to it, I guess. So the Islanders and the Penguins are definitely teams we can talk to. Ryan Ellis. Ooh, 5-year deal. Please tell me there's a deal that can be made here. Reinhart, Grigorenko, Bolduc. No. Straight up for Dubois. No. Ooh, Lambos, Bolduc, and Flip Iafallo. Or Iafallo. I mean, that's leveraging a lot of the future. Lambos is a 75. Bolduc is a 66. And Iafallo is an 82 who has 11 points in 16 games. I think that's a bit too pricey. But damn if Ryan Ellis doesn't just completely turn this defense around. And we're only getting rid of one roster player. I think I'm going to come back to that, and hopefully that deal is still there from Nashville. But yeah, that's like the big money. How much of your future do you want to leverage? Montreal's another team we could talk to. The Wild are another team we could talk to. The Kings. I mean, man, there's a ton of moves to potentially be made here. Detroit just traded for Ryan Ellis and immediately put him back on the block. Interesting. Damn, there's actually a lot of teams. There's a lot more teams trying to make moves than I would have thought. Interesting. Athanasiou's available. $4 million, though. I mean, no thanks. Don't really know. He'd only fit on the third line. I mean, him fitting in on the third line actually kind of works, but Let's see. Connor Walchuk and Savoy. So, yeah, I guess really the best way to sum it up is I'm just intrigued to know kind of what you guys are thinking, what you'd like to see from this channel moving forward. I guess in an NHL franchise mode sense. Obviously, other games are still going to be played. Like, obviously, like MLB is going to pop up, NBA is going to pop up, Madden's going to pop up, stuff like that as I continue to play it on stream. But from there, like for this game, for the rest of this year, are you still cool with the idea of, well, number one, if you don't want this series to continue, it's like, hey, what do you want? Let me know. And like I said, those type of videos, I think the talking about real world hockey type of stuff is something I really want to get into and really want to start to make. So I'm not trading a first and a second and Iafallo for Barry. Fuck that. Hints. 2 seconds in Iafallo is not bad. Grigorenko, Iafallo. A lot of people want Iafallo, which makes me not want to give him up. Essa Lindell, please tell me. Oof, not an expiring deal. No, thank you. No, thank you. Again, Ryan Ellis is there. What does Detroit want for him then? Reinhart in 2 seconds. Dubois. 2 firsts in Grigorenko. Ratu, a second and a third. Lambos, a second and a third. Boy, is that expensive. Nicoletti, 4 years left. Good Lord. And even then, he's still expensive as hell. We might just have to carry this team onward as is. What about Nuge? Yeah, he's too expensive. Kopi, are you on an expiring deal? You're not. And no trades can be found because of the money. Matt Dumba. On an expiring deal. First, a second, and I follow. Or for Reinhart. I'd rather go for Dumba. You know, not risk the guys that we already have. Jared Spurgeon, who, again, is one of those players that stands out to me where it just ruins this game for me that he is so stupidly underrated. I have follow, and 2/3 isn't too bad, though. But again, we do need forward help. Jonas Brodin as well. I mean, that's my big issue with franchise. Oh, man, a second for Jonas Brodin. It's 6x6, but I think Jonas Brodin can be that guy for me here. We'd be kind of jumping at the first option. He's an 83. Man, he's a minus 25 this year. Fits in on the third pair. That's a bit much. Guy should be like a 90, for God's sakes. I actually don't know if we're really going to get any deals done here. Montreal again. Has Letang on an expiring deal. I'll have to check if he has an extension. Dirt cheap for Letang. Even if he has an extension, we have to take this. A second, Westgarth, and a fourth for Chris Letang. I think just outright I'm going to take that. Hopefully it doesn't disappear here. When I check to see if he is under contract next year, he's not. Perfect. We'll make that deal for Chris Letang. Pretty much dirt cheap. I'm a little bit over the cap now, apparently. But to look, I mean, again, goaltending-wise, we're golden. I could sign some AHL options. That defense is now Dahlin, Jones, Letang, Weegar, Larson, Zub, and then like Irwin and Jetwu behind him. It's not bad. And for the forwards, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7. I mean, we're pretty much good to go. This team is pretty gross. Is that Ryan Ellis trade finally going to come through? No, it's not. Man, Minnesota's just wheeling and dealing right now, huh? So I guess the best thing that I could do is try to get Kyle Okposo off of this roster. I do need to try and free up some money here on deadline day, but we bring in the veteran in Chris Letang to help shore up the defense. And again, Kyle Okposo, no deals to be had. Can I pair him with Iafallo? No. We know there's a ton of offers for Iafallo, though. I think we're good. Like, I should have the cap space. I think just Chris Letang is our guy. I'd rather shore up the defense than the forwards, so we will call it a day. We'll see what other moves the AI happen to make. And what we're going to do is sim to the end of the regular season, see where we stand. It was Dylan Arkin for Ryan Ellis. Jesus. Mike Amadio, might as well claim. That's fine by me. We'll see where we stand, and then again, if you guys want this to continue, we'll try to get it back on track, and if not, we'll think of something else and we'll move on. Works for me. So defensively, apparently, how much am I over the cap by? It says $6 million. I only have $3 million in space. Really? Why the hell did you let me make the deal in the first place? That's the real question. Forwards, we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. I mean, the obvious move here is to just drop Kyle Okposo. Apparently, I'd still be over the cap by like $2 million. So going after Letang was apparently a bad idea because I can't even call him up. Which doesn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense as to why it even let me do the move. Like, I knew how much cap space we had, but I figured it's like, okay, just drop Okposo. Is there anybody else that I can drop then? I guess defensively. I mean, dropping neither of these guys makes it work out. Both have been. I don't know what's gotten into Matt Irwin in this run, but goddamn, if he hasn't been great. What if we drop Artem Zub? And then in the playoffs, we could drop Cal Peterson. We might have to play Letang in the AHL. I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to play Chris Letang in the AHL for the rest of the regular season and then make moves that we have to move to be able to call him up for the playoffs. So we're going to act like Chris Letang's on LTIR. It's pretty much what it's going to be. We're going to pull the old Kucherov move and then see where we stand so that he could be available in the playoffs. So let's keep going. But I think I've, aside from some ranting and rambling, I think I've made I guess, relatively concise points about how I feel right now in regards to, what's happening with the channel, what's happening with NHL 21, what's happening with the series. I think I've made my points pretty clear, as this team has just destroyed worlds, by the way. We might win 60. We did not. We won 59 games this season. Good Lord. So just to take a look, if we won the President's Trophy, which means we're going to lose in round 1, so is it even worth continuing? But, by far the best team in the league. Only team to average over 4 per game. We had the lowest goals against average by far, and we're about to add Chris Letang. Might not even need him. And for the forwards, Barzal, for those who thought Kotkaniemi was a mistake, there you go. Eichel, Reinhart, Hoffman. Man, Mike Hoffman, you're happy you came back, huh? 46 goals, Jesus. 76 for Dubois. Iafallo had 21 points in 37 games, which is delightful. Nick Patan put up 41 points. He had power play time, but still. This team, again, just destroyed worlds. Good Lord. Defensively, 85 points for Seth Jones, 77 for Dahlin. Talk about the best pairing in the world. And Luukkonen and Peterson were both great. Crazy season. Crazy. So see, even with, this is why we might have to, I don't mind the idea of doing a series like this. We've done it before, and check out the old Carolina Hurricanes series if you haven't, which was even more rule heavy than this. I don't mind the idea. John Carlson had 118 points as a defenseman. Good God. So much for a Norris season for Seth Jones. Holy crap. I don't mind doing an extremely rule-heavy series because I want it to be difficult to build a winner, because you've seen here, we have done a 50-50, coin toss as to whether or not I can get certain players. We've put limitations on how I can acquire players through trading, and still, within 3 seasons, we have this team. So I wouldn't be opposed to even saying, hey, restart with Buffalo? I don't know. Or start with somebody different. Maybe Arizona. I don't know. There's a lot of different options, but this team makes the playoffs. If we continue on, it's Detroit up next. I'm going to call it there. Again, like I said, hopefully I didn't ramble too much. Hopefully you get the point as to, I guess, my point of view on things right now on a myriad of different topics. I still thank you guys for the support, of course. Again, with everything, whether it be, of course, for those who still somehow don't know, we stream on Twitch every single night. That's why you often see me with the webcam up, because I'm just recording those off of Twitch. Granted, it's later in the day. Over the summer, changes to my life that could be more of a day schedule, so more of you might be able to watch. Of course, if you somehow missed it as well, there is the podcast in video form here. Of course, it's also up on Spotify, Google, and Apple, the Toogie Steak Podcast, brought to you by Manscaped, by the way. Use code Toogie at checkout for 20% off and free shipping. And thank you to those that do. Helps us a lot in terms of attracting more legitimate sponsors, but it's I have a sponsored podcast that we started this year, and for those of you that have been listening, thank you. It's just, constantly wanting to try new things. And this has been a staple, and it's not going anywhere. But we'll see what happens with this channel for the rest of 2021. I'll see you guys next time. What next time is, though, I don't know yet.